Hi, my name is Jenny Lynn Patterson-LaCour, and I am the founder and CEO of Jenny Lynn Fitness, home of Sweat. I've been an aquatic fitness instructor in NYC for the last 2 decades, and I'm currently working on launching my Sweat certificate program.
And I'm AJ Myers from Made by Myers. I specialize in podcast production, web design, branding, and business development. And you're listening to the Aquaholics Bootcamp.
We created this podcast to interview guests who inspire and motivate us within the aquatic fitness industry and beyond. Each episode, we'll chat with them about what they're working on professionally, as well as get to know them a little bit better personally.
So let's dive on in.
Joining us today is Craig Yaniglos. Craig is the Chief Financial Officer for a public school district in Northeast Ohio, as well as an aquatic training specialist for the AEA. He holds many other certifications, such as Aqua Stand-Up, Hydro Revolution, Aqua Cycling, and ACE Group Exercise. He is also a CEC provider for the AEA and a master trainer for Aquapole. Craig, welcome to Aquaholics Bootcamp.
Thanks. I'm super excited to be here.
Yay!
Hi, Craig. How you doing?
Hi, AJ. I'm doing good.
Good.
I get so excited just because not just that I'm interviewing you, but also when I finish the introduction and I've gotten it on one take, it's just like, this is going to be the best episode ever.
This is going to be the best episode ever.
Ever.
Move over, Mark Revelding.
Oh,
I think it's a throwdown.
What? Get it?
Yeah,
What?
It's going to be the choreography king versus the choreography prince.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. I feel like we need Game of Thrones music going on right now or something.
I think we can edit that in, right?
Yeah, I don't know if we can afford it, but we'll try. We'll get the I don't know, the B-rated version.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Craig, where are you calling in from right now?
Well, like Jenny Lynn introduced, Northeast Ohio. So specifically Macedonia, not the country, of course, but Ohio. So recently moved during COVID.
Ooh.
So that was really exciting, but that's where I'm calling from. Yeah.
Overall, how have things been where you are during this pandemic?
Well, it's definitely been kind of interesting. So just huge life changes were happening and, couldn't predict that. So didn't realize I would be signing on to a new job in a district 4 times the size of what I was coming from.
Oh.
And have a pandemic hit a month later. So, and basically build a house and move into that house exactly as the state of Ohio was completely shutting down. Was a little bit overwhelming, to say the least.
Wow.
It was pretty intense, and it was just a really long process. So it's a complicated district in terms of its finances and things like that. So getting acclimated to that was hard enough. And then you throw on top of it, the pandemic piece where people are working from home. It just makes it harder to get to know people and to be able to answer questions. So that was probably the hardest part about, the day-to-day job, I guess, that was happening. The worst part about this whole pandemic has actually been, though, that, all of the aqua fitness has stopped. So, and by moving, I was leaving my home pool, which Jenny Lynn was just at in December. So right prior to this all happening, so leaving that was a big part of me, and that was pretty tough. So I got pretty emotional towards the end of it, realizing that, I have been a part of the Hubbard Pool since I was 8 years old. And so that was crazy that this is the first time I've actually not been there.
Wow. I can't imagine one of those many life-changing moments happening during all of this, let alone all of them.
Right.
New job, new home, new how to work, being shifted and having to pivot to all of this digital and remote stuff, and then not being able to be in your own home pool. It's a lot.
Yeah. And I've struggled here because I do need to now I'm getting to that point where, so a lot of the pools in Ohio have opened. They have not been opening up near like a full capacity schedule. So I'm trying to figure out where, maybe locally I can kind of get back and get back involved on a local pool level. So we'll kind of see what I can bring to the table.
Yeah. And, on that note, tell us about your background. Like, how did you find yourself becoming involved in aquatic fitness? You said you were a part of the Hubbard pool since you were 8. I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah, so I've always loved to water. That's been my passion. I started off competitively swimming and had worked at the Hubbard pool as an employee since I was 15. So I was a lifeguard, I was a lifeguard instructor, I was a water safety instructor, I got into coaching. Um, so I graduated with my degree in business. And once I graduated, which was in 2004, I know that, starts to date myself at this point. But so when I graduated, I, was looking for what I was going to do. And it actually just kind of happened that the school system and the pool that I'd been basically you know, raised in was going to be hiring an aquatic director. So that's kind of how I got my start. My whole focus was on horizontal fitness because that's what I knew. I knew swimming and I knew nothing about aqua fitness at all, nothing about vertical fitness. And it was basically an afterthought. And I broke every rule in the AEA manual, and I'm very open about it. I was a water in the water teacher, teaching in the circle, um, doing moves. I had no idea what I was doing,
Oh, no.
not teaching with music, then sort of teaching with music. Like, it was awful. I was atrocious. So it wasn't really until, so that was 2004. So 2009 is when I went to my first IAFC. And I remember walking into, I got down there, like it started on Tuesday, and I like arrived in the afternoon. It had already started. And I walk in, I check into my hotel, which was in Orlando, and I could hear the music like bumping, and I walk out to the pool deck, and I think it was actually, I want to say it was Ian Levia that was teaching, and I was like looking at this class, and I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. What on earth am I doing? I said, so I went back, like the whole story was like, I went back to my room, like after that first night, and I was just started writing stuff down. Like, and I was like, oh my God, like, I think self-reflection is like so important in everything that we do.
Yes.
And so I went back to my room and I started writing everything down. I was like, God, I suck. Like, I am terrible. Like, I've got to fix this. And so I made it a mission, but I've always been interested in teaching. And so I think it ended up becoming a natural fit that I went back to Hubbard, and I basically brought AEA, the beginnings of AEA, to Hubbard without even being AEA certified. So I went and got my AEA certification that year and just started teaching my instructors the very, very basics. And then it kind of just evolved from there.
So, Craig, you touched on this new position of yours that you're in as treasurer and CFO of the Brecksville Broadview Heights School District. Can you share a little bit about what your role has been there since you took over and the impact that this pandemic has had on what you do on a daily basis?
Sure. So the one thing that's interesting is that I guess I didn't really talk about how I ended up getting out of aquatics. I was still in aquatics and kind of still attached to the Hubbard pool even after I became a treasurer. But I do love working in schools, in the school system. And so, I had a friend of mine who basically, the treasurer at Hubbard at the time, who kind of encouraged me to get my treasurer's license because I had the business background. And she's like, you've done such an amazing job with balancing the budget at the pool, making the pool money, doing all this creative programming and fixing so much that's never been fixed in its 40-year history. You really need to become a treasurer and really affect like a school system, an entire system, like a bigger entity because of your skill set. And so I went through, I was really heavily involved in aquatics, really deeply involved in both the aquatic fitness and coaching for a while. And then I finally took the leap to kind of become a treasurer and still be connected to the pool side. So I had an opportunity that basically happened in October where I get a phone call and said like, hey, are you interested in this position? And, I was kind of like honored, I guess, that people called me and were asking me because I was successful also at Brookfield, where I was previously working. And so I was like, you know what, maybe this is the right moment. It's an amazing opportunity. Have always been looking to get back into the bigger city, getting towards Cleveland or whatever. That's where I went to college, and just kind of went full steam ahead.
So you obviously touched on the amazing work that you were able to do at the Hubbard Pool, but how can facilities without a large budget, what can they do to maintain and improve their aquatic programs?
This is a great question, and I get asked this a lot, and sometimes I may, on occasion, go off on a little tangent while I'm traveling the country, sometimes with AEA. People, they want to ask those questions. I think the big difference of why we were successful at Hubbard is because I was the director. And so what I'm sure you see the same thing is when you go around and travel, the aquatic director or the group fitness manager isn't really AEA certified. They're not involved in it very much, or if they are, it's like the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have the investment in it. And I also hear, if they're not invested, they're not going to invest in the programs. And so I guess two things. One, I think you have to do a proof of concept. And what I mean by that is you need to get some type of authorization to find some program that is unique, and find whether it's a small purchase. I always use like Aqua Strength or Aqualogics as my example, because plastic is cheap in comparison to like the bikes and the trampolines and the aqua poles. So it's considerably cheap. So I'm like, you can do an investment of $1,000. You can get 10 sets roughly of, Aqua Strength or Aqualogics products, and do a specialty class and upcharge for that. That's going to generate revenue. And if you can pay off that equipment and then start making the facility money, I feel like that proof of concept needs to happen, and people need to see something tangible like that. Now, for me, I did it backwards because those products weren't available at the time. So my proof of concept that I worked with my treasurer at the school district with was actually the Hydro Rider bikes. So I was like, look, I want to buy these 7 bikes. I'm going to do classes of 6. It's going to cost $8,000 because I got them on the IAFC after IAFC special.
Oh, nice.
And I said it's going to cost like $8,000, and I have a plan of how I'm going to pay that back and actually make money within 12 months. And she was like, go for it. So that was my first premium class that we offered, and I was right. Like, it was a new program. No one around had it. We were packed with classes, charged an upcharge premium for it. People paid it, and it started to generate money and revenue. And it's been a hit ever since. It's one of the most popular classes that they still have. So that kind of led into all the other programs. So when people would come to the pool, everyone would be like, I'm so jealous, because you've seen it. We had the aqua pole, we had the boxing bags, we have the plastic, we've got
all the toys,
the trampolines, we've got the bikes, we've got the
oh my gosh,
stand up. We have everything. And we did that because we were making money on all of those. So I say start off small. And I also think that they need to reach out and really make that connection with the aquatic director or the group fitness manager or something. And I always tell them to, like, use me as a resource, call me, have them call me, whatever, like, we can do, because I think that that's what's going to keep pools alive in this country.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. This is exactly why we wanted to have you on this show to discuss these kinds of things, because you know so much more about how from the business side of things. And we've talked about it on several episodes. The aquatic facilities and aquatic programming get the short end of the stick no matter what. In the world we're in right now, the pools, which are some of the most expensive pieces of equipment in a facility, are just not being used to make that facility money. And because of the misconceptions of aquatic fitness, because of the lack of awareness of aquatic fitness and what is actually possible with new equipment and new programming, I think slowly we're going to get there. But having someone like you on staff has to be such an asset for that, because you can, just like you described, that proof of concept, like, that's brilliant. That's exactly how you can start to pull in the money and then, invest in yourself and then have that pay off.
Well, sure. And I think that we could utilize and maximize the pools at a higher level if we just program them correctly. And people will pay for quality products, but they treat it like it's here's your membership to this facility. However, you can use the pool if you want. Like it's great that you come, but all those classes are free. Who cares? And it's like, it's such a powerful tool. It is the best place for our aging population, Silver Sneakers land classes and whatnot, great programs, but water is the best place for really everybody, but specifically people over the age of 50 that are starting to get, arthritis and pains and joint pains and all kinds of issues sometimes as they age. And it's just always put on the back burner. So that like kills me inside a little bit. So I at least always offer my services that if I can help in any way for people to talk to, like I'd be happy to do that, because they always say, well, but yeah, but they won't let us charge extra money for it. It's like, I always say, if you build it, they will come. It's like, if you charge and it's a good, it has to be a good program though, too. You can't just buy plastic or buy equipment and just be like, oh, here it is. It's got to be good,
Absolutely. You got to have the education behind it to make sure that the participants are getting a quality service.
Right. It's got to be different.
Yeah. So what are some other ways besides the facilities themselves working to do that? Are there ways that like the community or followers of the aquatic fitness realm can work together with a facility to help raise money or raise awareness?
Sure. One of the things that we did was we kind of did develop a pool committee. And so we used to do fundraisers just to show the involvement of how we could reach out to the community. One of the first things I did before I was even involved in Aqua Fitness was I wanted to invite the community into our space. And so I didn't want it to just be for people who had been to the pool. I wanted to invite new people. So we did this mass promotion that was like free swimming at the Hubbard Community Pool. It was one day in the middle of July. And we ended up turning it into it actually ended up turning into a fundraiser, which we called the Summer Sizzler. And trust me, some summers it was sizzling. But every year we would get like 350 people. We ran it for like 5 hours and we would get 350 people. And these are people that sometimes never, ever had been to the pool before. And so it got them in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And they could see all of what we offer. So they could see that we offer swim lessons. They could see that we offered competitive swimming. They could see that we offered aqua fitness. We'd give them flyers. And so we ended up developing a committee that worked, in coordination with me as the director to put on some of those programs. And any of the money we raised, we pledged that all of that would go into the facility. So sometimes it was like suit dryers. Sometimes it was new equipment like the Aqua Strength products or the trampolines or whatever. And then the other thing that we used the money for too was investing in instructors, because I really, as I went through the process, I was like, education is so important. So that committee also raised money to help send more instructors from the facility down to IEFC and get involved in AEA.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so important. We've talked about that on the show a lot, the education piece. And your choreography rival, Mark Revelding, mentioned in his episode that investing in your aquatic instructors and their education and their qualifications is how you improve and take aquatic fitness out of that, short end of the stick world that it keeps getting.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no requirements. And I'm sure, like, when you compare it to different countries, like, we see it at the international level, but in different countries, I mean, people to teach aqua fitness need like bachelor's degrees and exercise physiology. And I always say, yep, in the United States, you can just have a pulse and we'll take you to teach a class. But it's true. Like, you grasp on for someone as a director, like, I mean, I didn't always have when I first started, like, I was just grasping for people because I'm like, I don't want to teach all of these classes. Like, I can't.
Right.
So you're trying to find warm bodies, that might want to do it.
Oh my gosh. I love it. You just need a pulse. That is hysterical.
You just need a pulse.
So, I mean, you're clearly very diverse within the aquatic fitness field, and you can really help educate on many different topics within our industry. So, where do you see yourself taking your career, or should I say careers, plural? Because I feel like you can wear multiple hats.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love being able to kind of do both. It's kind of exciting. I could easily retire from Brecksville Broadview Heights. So, I'm only counting down 20 more years,
There you
20
go.
more years. That's it. So that part of me, and as the longer you stay in that job, fortunately and unfortunately, like, I don't want to say that I would get bored with it, but you kind of get to the point where you do get things the way you want it. And so it kind of runs itself, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But it would also open me up to be able to have more time to kind of still always stay involved in the aquatic side of things. So, I mean, I loved getting out and traveling and getting to see different people and, going to different parts of the country and just sharing that, we're all different. And that's one thing I loved about how the training specialists that we have, everyone's different. They have their different, strengths and weaknesses and stuff. And so it's always good for people to, I don't think any facility should only host. I mean, when we were at Hubbard, we always hosted multiple people. We've had you and Ashley, we've had Joao and Pedro, we've had Lori Sherlock. So it's always good to have a different type of training. And so I think that, nothing's going to replace the live trainings once COVID is over, or at least really starting on the ramping down phase.
Right.
It's kind of, as much as I'm glad that the virtual stuff is working out, I'm actually going to do one of the virtual workshops in November.
Yay.
I'm really, really excited about getting back kind of out on the road at least a little bit, and being able to travel, because it's just exciting to get out of the office and do something physical and to really kind of focus on the passion piece of it. And I don't know where else you could go other than being a training specialist. So, I mean, you can't go up any higher.
Right. Exactly. But it's totally true, having, different types of specialists, teaching at one time, I think is just so awesome, because every single person has such a different style, flavor, attitude, concept, theory, and you just take away so much information. And especially for myself, who, as we know, is very freestyle, when I take one of Craig's classes, I'm like, I have work to do. I need to go listen to the beat, watch myself in the mirror, and practice.
I know how much you love to be on the beat, but you are improving, and that's great.
Thank you. I appreciate that wholeheartedly. So I'm actually curious. I was just reading the next question that I have here, and I'm actually very curious about this. But what does the future of aquatic fitness look like for you? Where are you taking it next? I know you have this amazing job and career going on, but you're still an ATS and, doing a lot of work with the AEA. So I'm curious, what does your aquatic fitness future look like?
I am excited in general for the future of aquatic fitness as a whole. And I think that, I have seen some major improvements. I mean, I think you have too. You're starting to see a change. And I think that's a good thing, because it's such a vital place for people to be. And I think it's starting to get more notoriety. I think it's making, because of social media and whatnot, I think it's starting to make more news and social media news, I guess. It's just more out there. And so I start to see positive changes. I'm starting to see younger people get involved. And that's what's exciting. I was, in the beginning of this, very challenged with finding people that were young that wanted to be involved, because everyone just goes like, oh, water aerobics is for old ladies who have their little flower swim caps on and they stand in a circle and chat the whole time. And I'm like, okay, well, come take one of my classes. Okay.
Exactly.
I think it's good that some people are starting to do that. And one of those, I think, Adrian, for instance, who started teaching at our facility, and is now running the Hubbard pool.
Yeah.
She was one of the ones that I had to basically beg to get in the water and just to try it. And then she was like, oh my God, this is such a great workout. And then she did it through her pregnancy and whatnot. And it inspired her to start becoming involved and wanting to be an instructor. So, I do think the other piece is that getting some of this specialty equipment, like Hydro Riders and Aqua Stand Up and Aqua Strength or Aqualogics, getting that type of equipment has helped drive younger people to the pool than the hand buoys and noodles, because I think they almost unfortunately carry a bad connotation that that's what old people use, even though they can be very effective tools. So I think that equipment change and seeing the different types of equipment hit the market and start to take off more in the country is leading the charge of making the aquatic fitness industry a little more prevalent as we kind of move forward. So I'd like to see that continue, obviously.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think those are good things to note is because as much as we would love change to happen, very drastic and quickly in a short period of time, it does take decades. And I think
Mm-hmm.
we've been following a lot of mentors and leaders in this industry who have literally and figuratively made a lot of waves and had to kind of like break things up for us to get in there and the new people to kind of say, yes, we're still going to continue this. We're going to, update things, come in today's society with, the newest type of equipment and also put it on social media, get it out there for people to actually see.
Well, and the one thing too that I guess is really encouraging for the aquatic fitness industry is this. We're starting to see such a push for Nordic Track and Peloton and really taking this to this live streaming outlet. And I have concerns that I don't think it's going to happen overnight, but I have concerns that we're going to end up in a streaming world where gyms don't technically exist.
Mm-hmm.
They might exist, but I think it's going to be different. But the one piece about a pool is that I think there's room for growth in a pool because most people don't just have pools in their backyard, and if they're in Ohio, they certainly are not using them in the winter. Um, so I think that pools are a more stable because I mean I don't know. Do you agree? Like you're starting to see so much like streaming content that I'm like, are people going to just start doing this at home?
Yeah. I mean, well, the thing is I totally agree with that. And I think gyms are definitely going to look different going forward from this standpoint because I also know a lot of land instructors that make 10 times the amount of money, doing it elsewhere that way instead of the gym. And so there's that financial kickback of it. But with that, I think there's going to be a lot of injuries. I think people are going to need to come to the pool eventually, or it's just going to be a factor that the pool is that one thing that is offered that's the, exclusive piece of equipment, and that maybe facilities start basing more things around the pool, which would be like the best situation ever. But, that people can dream.
Well, you've given us like so much, and I know that we could probably spend an entire episode just talking about the financial side or the aquatic side. But I'm curious if you have a nugget of advice that you would offer to instructors who are out there just getting started, or students, or anyone who's maybe even interested in on the business side, the financial side of what it is that you do. What advice would you give them going forward now?
Don't give up, number one, but number two, don't be afraid to network and make some of those connections. So I do remember getting started off, and Jenny Lynn probably thinks the same thing. Like you go to your first IAFC and you like look at some of these people like they're icons, and you're just like, oh my god, I can't say anything. They're like, oh my god,
Oh yeah.
what do I do? But all of us are just regular human beings, and so like don't be afraid to approach, and have that conversation. I think that I even say this in the treasurer world. Like sometimes when you go to a workshop, some of the best information that you get out of that workshop is just the networking with a fellow colleague
Mm-hmm.
and the conversations that you have with that person versus anything that happened at the workshop.
Right.
So I think don't be afraid to network and reach out and have conversations. It's imitation is perfectly fine, especially in this business.
Mm-hmm.
So find what you like and don't be afraid to go after it and make a difference. I think that people that are doing water are probably almost even more passionate than people that do land. And so, follow your passion and realize that you're helping a lot of people, because that's what kind of has kept me going in this industry and why I don't mind working and I like working with the senior population as just as much as I do with, young athletes as well as, everyone else in between. So I guess that's the best advice I would probably offer.
It is very good advice.
That's great advice. This has been such a great episode, and I hope people do reach out to you with questions because, not to put the pressure on you, but if you can educate the community that's out there across the entire country, I think we could start to see these waves changing and improve what we all love, which is aqua.
Yes.
I certainly hope so.
Having facilities take it seriously and learning that the budget needs to be spread around the entire facility, not just land.
Yeah, absolutely. And seriously too, because I don't know if I have not listened to all of the Aquaholics boot camps, but I have listened to several. But Jenny Lynn, I seriously thank you for all you're doing, because you're really doing this full time, and that's amazing, because not a lot of people can do this full time in this country because of how the aquatic industry is kind of treated. There's all kinds of gaps in terms of pay when it comes to land versus water, and it's kind of crazy. But you're doing it, you're living the dream, and so we appreciate that.
Well, thank you. You're getting me all teary-eyed. I'm emotional. Thank you.
Air hug.
I was going to say air hug, big air hug. Thank you.
I can't wait for us all to be together at the next IAFC.
Well, the next one, so yes, next IFC for sure. But we definitely need to come back to the Cleveland area and host an event, because that would be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
Craig, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yes.
This has been so great. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me on. This was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And, I hope that we'll see each other soon, and definitely stay safe.
For more content like this, go to jennylynnfitness.com/podcast.
And please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your audio content.
Thank you so much for listening, and stay hydrated.